Go.
Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Give praises to Jehovah, from whom all blessing and knowledge will flow. Blessing and knowledge will flow. The Village Talk Show, dedicating to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dream at any age, any point, starting from today, day. Success. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Success is not spoken, it is done. Success is done. Come on now. The Village Talk Show. Talk Show. The Village Talk Show.
All right. Good evening, good villagers out there. It's very exciting to hear from each and every one of you out there in Radio Land. I don't hear anything. Do you hear anything? Right? So it's very exciting, and thank you for joining us another day of the Village right here on 92.1 FM. You know, it's a bittersweet day out here on the radio as we talk about a few things. But first of all, thank you for watching, listening, viewing, sharing, participating in the Village. Make sure you share the link with your friends. Subscribe to our channel on the YouTube channel, where we are dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, at any point, starting from today. Well, John, I lost John. All right, John was here for a minute. He'll be back on to come out and say what's up. I just wanted, before I start, the CEO of GD Radio, Bishop Mervyn Hardin, has lost a brother this week. One of his the one he follows, right? The one he follows, that he lost his brother, Daddy T, Taurus, has transitioned earlier this week. So I just want to make sure that the Grace Deliverance family, the Hardin family, knows that we as a people are very supportive and very concerned when somebody has passed, and ensuring that everybody's mental health is in the right place. It's tough. There's no words that can bring a lost loved one back, a lost loved one back, not lost, a lost loved one back. But we can offer words of comfort in the time of grief and the time of need. So our condolences again will go out to you, Bishop Hardin, Dennis, Hardin family, and the Grace Deliverance family. Daddy T, just know that we're thinking of you. You and you look afro, and your infectious smile. God bless you, and May your soul forever, ever rest in peace. Fortunately, that's how we're starting off the show, but we hope that we will not end that way. Okay? So those of you, some of you drive down Utica Avenue right there by the Winthrop, Dunkin' Donuts, right there at the Winthrop Dunkin' Donuts. There's always a young man, a very brown man, in a little white car hanging out there for the last few years. As his home base, he would hang out there, and a lot of people come by and meet him. If you have seen him, that's exactly right below Kingsbrook, right below there. That's what we're talking about. That's who we're talking about. All right, God bless. So, Andre, what's going on? How you doing?
It's good, you know. Wait, let me say. It's good. It's things good. I don't think you hearing it. Okay, so I'm hearing it from this. First couple of days of school already going good. I already have my figurative language. My foot is on the kids' neck, you know, because it's the first few days you gotta set them straight before they get too far in the year.
You know
expectations and routines.
You know what's funny? The rule of thumb is you are supposed to have your foot on your necks, because if you are too friendly at the beginning of school, they lose more respect for you if you're too friendly than the opposite, right? Than the opposite. The first couple of weeks, you're allowed to give them breaks later on in the school year, but at the beginning of the school year, you don't want to give them any break.
You can laugh on those things, but you have to
not
know,
even laugh.
Yeah, I think you have to know
smile.
Which,
I don't know about laughing, but smile
on those things. But you have to know which group of student that is, because I have one class right now, and there's a good amount of them. And
by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Andre's afraid to show his face on camera, so it look like since last year. But tell you,
so semi.
Listen, boy. Listen here, Mr. Townsend.
I said figurative language. Figurative language. You didn't hear that part. You missed it.
Is that no damn figure of speech? Like Mr. Townsend, listen, first and foremost, hold on. Let me tell you something, Mr. Newman. If you ever seen Buck looked like Hercules. So you know he put his foot on those elementary school picking them neck. Right? And then he showed them how to play basketball and showed them that, you know what? Not because I put my foot on your neck doesn't mean that I don't love you and I don't want you to learn. So I don't know what Mr. Townsend is talking about. He's full of crap. We all believe that. So consistency, ladies and gentlemen, especially for new teachers. Don't walk in there. It's just like you know it when you see a bad parent, and I'm going to call them that. A bad parent is a parent who feels that they need to be the child's best friend, not the other way around. Not if you are the child, not if the child, like, how would I put it? If you feel that your child is your best friend and they are below an adult age, that child is going to cause problems in school. That means no matter what the child does, you will always think that the child is always right and you don't care what anybody says. Yeah. Right? There's a difference between building a positive relationship with your child and believing that your child is your best friend. You're an adult. Get an adult for your best friend.
That's funny too, because I remember years back I had a student who said something obscene to his mom on the phone. And
mother laughed up.
It's as if it was a normal thing to say,
Okay.
Like it's like an insult, and she turned around and still kind of treat him as an angel. And this kid was a smart kid, like he was high marks in class, but he was entitled.
Mm-hmm.
That is entitlement. So even if he's in class and he feel like he should be getting an A or B, I'm like, no, you didn't do what you gotta do correctly. It's the other thing. Mm-hmm. Kids want to just do the work. You have to emphasize.
But you know what? Sometimes when the parents think that Pitney is their best friend, they will do the homework for the Pitney.
Even that.
And that holding the child accountable because I'm always here to help you out. Yeah. I've come across that a lot. And you know what's funny? Bad teachers have bad children, Police have bad children. Social workers have bad children. Right? You know why?
Why?
Because we have a tendency to see what the system does.
Mm.
And then we have a compassion. Oh, put your foot in the neck. Put your foot in the neck. Put your foot in the neck. The proverbial foot. Actually, let me be serious before somebody called me out and tell me that.
That's why I said figure of speech.
No, I may talk about it. I'm sure most people know.
Yeah, they know.
You know,
Sir.
I'm sure everybody knows that you don't proverb because you're a madman if you really want to put your feet in somebody in a child's neck. But let me be serious. I think we just have to do a balance.
You know, social media is still people just have to run with them literal stuff.
You know, and you know, it's funny. No matter what you do, sometimes the children are still, they have the outside influences, no matter what. You know, I've come across kids who say, I always share this story, right? About 15 years ago, maybe a little bit less. And maybe my villagers out there that have heard me tell this story before, where the parent brought the child up from Jamaica. And when the parent brought the child up from Jamaica, they took them to, at that time, it might still even be there, Caldors. Either where Caldors is or Caldors itself, at Church Avenue and Utica Avenue here in Brooklyn. Utica. And the parent brought the child into the store to buy some school supplies, some stuff, some new stuff, some clothes for him to wear. Right? And I'm laughing when I tell the story. And I'm telling the story because sometimes it's not the parents, or sometimes we kill the parents, but it's not them. It's the societal influences. When the mother buy the picnic, the clothes, the picnic look on his mother and tell him mother some bad word.
Damn.
Right? Tell him mother some bad word. Say, this you bring me America for.
Wow.
Me don't want them suck me up. Me want Fendi this. Well, I'm just saying he didn't say Fendi, but the brand name.
Yeah.
And them the something me want. And you brought me to America to give me this. I pay bad word and tell him mother, you know. And so many of us will say, for example, may I pack up my picnic and send him back. How many of you really would do it? And how many of us have been in this situation where our children have told us something? Because I know I told my mother something in 1992. And I remember up to this deal. And I'm sure my mother remember. I didn't mean it how it came out, how it sounded. When I was saying it in my head, it didn't sound as bad as when the words left my mouth. But my mother never disowned me. My mother never threw me out. My mother was shocked, actually. Let me tell her. So as much as I would say that if my child ever tell me that I'm a big man, and I would throw my kids out, 99% of us will not do that. You always see other people's houses, but you don't see your own. You think almost every criminal have a parent. And think about how many parents actually send their children to jail full time. You know, so the child committed a murder, and you plead with the child to turn themselves in, but you now turn them in. Think about it. So we make decisions sometimes, and we accept certain things as parents. But that's a little bit off subject. But
you have a soft spot for your own blood.
You have a soft spot for your own blood, no matter what. My son come home and tell me something, I want to hear. I want to talk to the teacher. So I don't always pick a side, you know. Right. But I will listen to them before I throw down the wrath of God. Figuratively speaking, on that child. I want to hear a little bit more. I think there's always a truth to what my child is saying. There's also an exaggeration as well, even on the teacher's part.
I think nowadays I've seen more parents listen to the kids more, and even go as far as to listen to them more than I think. Well, not think they should, but in terms of when I was growing up, hearing out no time I listen to you. Teacher say you do this,
That's what I do.
and that's it.
And you know what I find to be funny
Yeah.
about it?
Mm.
When we were young,
Mm.
we didn't like when the teachers do that, and
Yeah.
our parents reacted that way, and we come back doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Just like boss ass.
Yeah.
We never liked the boss ass, but we are boss ass are pitting them. I
Yeah.
said, forget boss ass, but
I
you
think-
never like it.
But
What was the balance? You wanted the balance when you were young.
Yeah. What I'm saying though is that I feel like today, like because we've been through that experience, we're more likely to listen to our kids, even if we are going to punish them in a sense.
I think sometimes we go the opposite way.
Mm.
Sometimes we go too far. You
To
go
listen.
too far left
Yes,
or
that's what I
too
meant.
far right.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
If
Yeah.
somebody used to beat you, you go too far right where you
Yeah.
don't beat pitting them,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
right? Or if somebody never beat you, you go too far right and say some of the time should I get beat them, you know. Sometimes pitting just need to get licked. And then that's when you become abusive and a problem.
Yeah.
So by the way, ladies and gentlemen, go on both ends. I'm not telling anybody to beat
Use your words.
right? To your children. That's why I don't like to use the word punishment. I like to use the word consequence.
Yeah, consequence.
Like children have to know, people have to know that there are consequences for behavior, and they must be remorseful and apologetic for certain behaviors. Sometimes we, and I speak for myself that I know that I'm guilty of that as well. But I don't want to take too long on that. Make sure that you. Oh, one thing that I want to talk about. It's funny. I was in a board meeting last night, and one of the things that we spoke about is what kind of education are we affording or talking about with the children? Are we trying to pigeonhole our children into a specific profession that we think is the best profession for them, right? Without knowledge of that profession because somebody else is doing it, right? And we have to ask ourselves, see, like my two sons want to play baseball, both of them.
That's the profession they want.
Yes, right? So my job as a parent is to cultivate that until they change their mind. But while they're practicing baseball, there's certain skill level that they will learn. How to be a team player, how to strategize, how to train,
Right.
how to develop skill sets. Those things, even though they might end up being God knows what, those training will go into effect into their learning styles and learning skills. Make sense? Right? You have to learn how to be a team player out there. I know people they're just not team players. I can do everything by myself. No, you need a team. Because at the end of the day, you're going to rub somebody. Because if you think you can do something all by yourself, that means that you're going to take over the role and responsibility of everybody within your group. And nobody wants to hang out with you if they don't feel useful. Right? If I don't feel useful in my relationship with you, why do I need to be in one with you? Right? So that's something to think about. And how to strategize, how to make connection, make eye contact, how to feel value, how to value other people, how to be supportive of somebody, how to support other people. Those people who don't have team concept, individual concept, don't know how to be supportive at all. Not art, or only know how to be supportive as it relates to them a lot more than they do knowing how to be supportive of others. And then you have those people, who generally, everybody's different, so everybody does whatever, but I'm there for that. Anyway, I don't want to go off a little bit. A lot of things going on. The biggest thing is we have another issue. Former New York City Buildings Commissioner indicted on bribery charges. Wow. Mayor Eric Adams, former building commissioner, is accused of accepting $150,000 worth of bribes in cash and gifts in exchange for access to the mayor and city officials. So our former building commissioner, Eric Aldrich, Aldrich, hopefully I'm pronouncing. He's a former city council person, I believe, in Queens. Right, I'll double check with that, but he's one of the former Republican city council member,
And
right?
it's just so much money, man. It's like
Right,
I'm thinking about the consequences.
right. I think he's Queens. Can you double check that for me? I think he's a city council out here in Queens, New York. And he became city building commissioner. Kudos to Mayor Adams, right? Kudos to Mayor Adams for being bipartisan, right? For being bipartisan in that, he's a democratically elected mayor, and he's a Democrat, not only democratically elected, as all elected officials are in New York, but as a Democrat, he placed a Republican who served in city council for 12 years from 2009 to 2021, and then became the city's buildings commissioner as mayor took over in January and to 2022. So he was there for a few months. Now did you look up what borough?
Southwest Queens.
Southwest Queens, yeah, that's what I thought, right. And so, kudos, first of all, giving kudos to Eric Adams for doing that, for being bipartisan and nominating somebody who he felt was the best qualified person for the job, not just the party that they belong to. So kudos to that. But unfortunately, he was elected, he was indicted on bribery charges for $150,000 for gifts. How comes they don't indict Clarence Thomas? I'll get away my take. Love the accused, love the tell these damn
Power,
damn
influence.
No, it's not that. It's not that.
What is it? What is
It's
it?
these damn Democrats.
Power, influence.
No.
All right.
No.
All right.
It's the Democrats. Clarence Thomas is governed by Republicans. And he will not be indicted by, and if he's indicted, which he's not, you can't tell me that Aldrich don't have power. He did. He does and did.
Who might have more power?
Well, that's true. I'm just going up the rank.
So power, influence.
Yeah.
Right? Because look, I don't like to talk about this, the orange man, Trump, right? I know the former president. Excuse the orange man thing, right? But at the end of the day, really, for him to for the cases to still be against this guy, and he's still moving around, and people still seem to want to have him as president. Well, not even still want him to have him as president. So it's a wonder, how much power does he have, and influence does he have, as just irrational he was, as irrational and just really horrible in terms of
but you know why I don't subscribe to that? George Santos has no money.
Oh yeah.
He has no money, and Al Franken had money when he was senator from Minnesota, when they made him leave. Andrew Cuomo has money. He's from money and he has money.
But is it just money alone give you the power?
Well, money, they go, one brings the other.
So, yeah.
Right? One brings the other. Money brings power and power brings money. They kind of work together. So, if it's not just money, right? Don't forget, people don't know this, So I'm gonna let in some people on some secret. There are more Democratic rich people than they are Republicans.
Really?
Go look it up.
Rich in the sense of
money. Right? There are more poor people that are Democrat, that are Republicans, well, than they are, because remember something,
Wait, there's more rich Democrats
than the
than
Republicans.
Republicans.
Look it up.
That's laughable. So I'm just thinking about the laughable.
The logics of it.
You right? The Democrats them are
Because
wow.
they I now you might have because remember, for one thing, right? For one thing, think about it this way.
They're fighting for poor people.
Look at the 32 states. So you can look them up. The economic worth of those 32 states that voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Alabama. Poverty in Alabama is ridiculous. Tennessee, right? Remember the cost of living in Tennessee, Alabama. Look at the cost of living of the different states. Rank them. Look at cost of living per state. You'll find California is very high. Right? California is very high. What state is California? Right? Look at the states. And you find that a lot of the Democratic states, right? What you have more of the middle class. Most of the middle class lie in the Democratic family. Right? Most of the Democrats lie in the middle class family. They don't lie in the Republican family. Right? So think about that for a second. And at the Republican piece, you have people at the top of the rung. But in the Democratic, most of the time you find the middle class. America is majority middle class. Right? Now, don't get me wrong, the rich is rich. So let's think about some of the richest person in America. Right? Think about some of the richest person in America, and you find that a lot of them, the actors, the actresses, the basketball players, the athletes, right? The business owners. Bloomberg, for example, is a Democrat. I'm not sure about the guy from Amazon. Warren Buffett is a Democrat. He's one of the richest men in America. Bill and Melinda Gates, they're Democrats. As far as I know, I don't think they're independent, unless they changed recently. Right?
Oh, that's what you mean.
Right? They're Democrats. What is that for? I guess they misunderstood the message.
Good evening.
Good evening.
But in a sense, though, even though they're up there as Democrats too, I guess I would say, what's up, Miss Miss Joy? What's up, so Joy? But like, they have to lobby for certain things. Something that don't.
Why are you so serious, my girl? Sure. Smile.
But what I'm saying,
I didn't say fake smile now. I said smile.
Why you always about Dr. Brian? Man?
I want her for smile. Oh, she's wearing my red glasses. I'm so proud of her.
What I'm saying though is that with those who are at the top and so wealthy in a sense, to me, it could be a question of whether or not they are for a party or not. They might support a party who is going to benefit them more. You know, like no. I get that point too. Yeah.
Look, did you look up? What did I ask you?
Which party is more rich?
Yeah, that. But you can look up the states, right, where the highest median income. The states.
Highest
income by state. You find that Connecticut, New York, California, Hawaii, those states.
Jersey.
There you go.
Massachusetts.
There you go. All of them are blue states. Every single last one.
Washington, Connecticut.
go. You can use the mic and call them out, so we can think. If so, some
Well-
people like to say that I'm lying when I'm speaking. So,
So, let me see.
Dr. Brian, for one,
That didn't give me median, but it gave me highest household income.
yes. So calling them out, call out the top
Let
10
me see. Top 10?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Maryland,
is what number?
number 1. So I'm going from 1 all the way,
Okay, so Maryland, blue state,
right? Number 2 in household so is Massachusetts,
blue state,
Jersey,
blue state,
Hampshire,
New
New
Hampshire.
Hampshire,
blue state.
California.
Well, New Hampshire swing is a swing state,
Okay. California, number 5.
blue state,
Hawaii,
blue state,
Washington,
blue state,
Connecticut,
blue state,
Colorado,
blue state,
and Virginia.
blue. Colorado is swing state. Next,
Virginia, top 10.
okay, next.
Oh, that was the top 10.
I know, but
All
next,
right.
next,
Utah,
red state,
Alaska,
red state,
Minnesota,
blue,
New York,
blue,
Rhode Island,
blue,
Vermont,
blue,
Illinois,
blue.
Oregon.
I think Oregon is blue, but it's close blue.
Right.
And why are you doing this?
We're talking about economic. We're talking
Household
about
income.
household income.
Okay.
And
Let's do
then,
the top 20 and stop.
and then Arizona. I would say Arizona. What?
Arizona. What do you call that? Swing state.
Swing state.
Last time it was blue.
Okay, that was 20.
All right. So if you go back at Utah, Utah is the only one that is completely blue. I mean, completely red of the 90. I think there's one other in the top 10.
Virginia. No, Utah was number 11. You got Virginia, Colorado, Connecticut, Washington, Hawaii, California, New Hampshire. Was it New Hampshire?
New Hampshire's a swing. So there's only one. So if you think about that, so what I was saying to people when people think about like the Republicans are about money, right? It's actually a falsehood, right? It's actually a complete falsehood. Like people think, oh, Republican means money. No, it doesn't. Democrat actually means money. The CEOs of those companies might be more red than blue. So people think so. There are more poor people economically in the Republican Party than they are in the Democratic Party, and people think it's usually the opposite, and it's not true. Right? It's 100% not true. As you can see, so out of the top 20 states in America, right? I believe 2, maybe 3 of those states are completely red states. 2. So 90% of the economic girth of America is in the blue states. So what are the things that's making somebody a Republican? It's not money. Why are people dying to stay, not only figuratively, but literally dying to stay in a red state when they really aren't making any money?
Well, what about this aspect? What about the possibility of how we talk about Republicans and Democrats being forthright, right? Republicans being straight up tell you what it is, and down where Democrats don't do that. And so I'm wondering if the historical history also have a reasoning there too. So like I've heard a lot of people say Republicans don't sugarcoat anything, and that's why they end up go over to the Republican side. And I've heard that. I've also hear people just argue against someone for just switching over to Democrat because there's a historical connection. Like certain people have always been Democrat. Why you want to switch over right now? They always fight for people's rights and so on and so forth.
Well, the one thing that I can say,
I'm listening.
the one thing that I can say strongly about Democrats and Republicans, right, is that Democrats are wishy-washy. And I'm a Democrat, so people are going to take offense to that statement. Democrats have a tendency to follow what other people say, right? They have a tendency to do that. Republicans have a tendency to stick with the course, right? You can't say that, but you know, in this case, no, Democrat, Republican, you know, it is true. But one thing though, why I love being a Democrat, I'm gonna tell you this, because we stand to ensure that our individuals, our kids, have health care. Our kids have public schools, public school education. We ensure that our kids have a place to live. As a Democrat, right? We try to make those things. She's not on here. We have those issues that, unlike the Republican Party, we believe in pulling up by the bootstraps.
Bullshit. We don't believe that, man. You know, come on.
The first thing you come on, hi John, welcome to the show. Oh, John, by the way, I know you didn't know yet because I didn't put it in the group, but our CEO, Bishop Hardin, lost his brother today, Taurus. I know you didn't know because I didn't put it in the group. For conversation. So anyway, yeah.
My condolences to the bishop.
Yeah. But and now we're just saying that I end up just rambling for a little bit, and I need to stop. Is that a lot of people believe that the Republicans have more money than the Democrats, and
When you say money, what do you mean?
like economic growth, and they don't, right? Because as Andre just proved, that I believe it was 18 out of 19 states with the household income is in Democratic states.
So what does
The
that
bottom 20 is in the Republican states. So a lot of people sometimes feel that people go to the Republican Party because of money.
No.
And I'm trying to say that that's a falsehood, right? But so what are the other reasons that keep them in the, and I think one of them is stick-to-itiveness.
Is what?
Stick-to-itiveness, the ability, like for example, I'm pro-life, right? And I'm pro-life and I'm not changing that.
Right.
Democrats will say, I'm pro-choice, but you know, for me, I'm pro-life. But you know, if you want, like a Republican is like, a Republican is like, I'm pro-life.
Right.
Under no circumstances do I say that I'm pro-choice, right? A Democrat might say I am pro-choice, but as for
What you're
me,
saying is,
I'm pro-life.
well, as my pastor A.R. Bernard would say, either you have principle or it's your preference. Irrespective of what other people try to convince you, if you have a principle point of view, you stick with that principle point of view.
Yeah, and that's
You
what
can't
Republicans
waver.
do.
Republicans don't waver as opposed to Democrats.
Yes.
Democrats waver.
Yeah.
Depending upon if it's a hotbed issue, if it's an issue that causes any sort of controversy, you know, they will waver on certain key points. You meet some Democrats who don't.
Like cancel
Waver.
culture is one of those things.
Oh, definitely. Definitely, Democrats, you know, and I'm a Democrat, but if you don't agree with our ideology, with a different point of view, or you say something that is not in accordance to what your ideology is,
I think you need to speak a little louder.
with your belief, you're ready to cancel. Hey,
Yeah.
Dr. Brian, how are you?
Welcome back.
You're ready to cancel somebody.
Yeah, and we need to move on to another subject, but you know, just letting people know that one of the conversations we're having is that as a Democrat, I'm saying to other Democrats, let's take a page out of the Republican book to build the party so we don't have wavering from, like, people are calling for Biden's head. All the crap that Trump did.
Let me tell you something.
Hold on, wait. And then you could go ahead and jump in and see, and then I give Joanne and then we move on to a different topic. All the crap that Trump did, good or bad, good crap, bad crap, whatever it is that he did, the Republican might have whispered, we got to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
But in actuality, they came out in droves to get him reelected. Whereas now you have in the Democratic Party,
They'll have a damn parade telling you that, oh, we don't need him.
Right.
Biden is too old.
Biden's to this, Biden's to that, right?
To this.
Right, because now you're wishy-washy and all. When Donald Trump ran for election in 2016, 2020, I don't remember anybody running against him. I could be wrong, but I don't remember anybody. Now you have all these people coming out of woodworks trying to run, and that Galvin. You have people saying with all of these things, let's take a step out of the election and let him alone run to prove the solidify behind our party. We can't even have that. Hunter Biden, I don't even know what's going on with that.
He got indicted today?
No. I'm saying what's going on with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. And the Democratic Party is about to cancel him. Anyway, John, you have something to say? And Dr. Brian, you have the last thought.
Refer to Dr. Brian. Dr. Brian.
No, I was going to let Dr. Brian
I think Dr. Brian
take last.
Go
Go ahead.
Yeah, Doc.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'll take a back step with this one.
This not working.
I'll take a back step on this one. You guys got this one.
It wasn't a back step. It was just your opinion on what's happening. All right, not a problem. John, you have any comment?
I think it's just unfortunate that we seem to don't understand the importance of being in a position of power to effectuate
I think you
policy.
need to speak louder, like I
To
said.
effectuate policy, I think that's what it is. We need to, the Republicans, they are more centralized, more cohesive in the way they operate. And they know what their main goals are. Their main goals was to overturn Roe versus Wade. So irrespective of their other goal right now is to get back the presidency to whomever is in a position to win. That's why they're backing Trump, because they believe Trump gives them their best
chance.
position, their best chance to win. And it's really interesting with all that is going on with that, all the baggage that former President Trump brings to the table. He is competitive with the President of the United States. And you know what's interesting about all this? I see some people have the temerity to try to recruit Andrew Cuomo to run for president. That's some shit, man. You know what I'm saying?
Really? Have you? No, seriously, have you?
Yes, he's one of the persons right now that they're thinking about after his $5 million lawsuit, which which John and I said, although he's not a fan of Andrew Cuomo, right? So we're going to put that out there, right? I am, right? I am a fan of Andrew Cuomo. We both said, and it's exactly what we segue into this conversation, where the Democratic Party in New York canceled him.
Yes, they did.
Not only did they have to pay $5 million for that cancellation, now they're asking him, because he should have ran for president. Now they want him to run for president.
Andrew Cuomo's not a nice person.
Well, he might not be.
No, he's not a nice person.
I'm not saying that, John.
He's not.
But now there's Donald Trump. According for some Democrats, Donald Trump is not a nice person.
I tell you this. Let me tell you this.
I want to hear this.
Andrew Cuomo is a moderate DeSantis. I'm telling y'all.
I don't know. I think
That's my position on Andrew Cuomo. I've had direct dealings with Andrew Cuomo. I know how underhanded he is. to get what he wants.
Yeah, we know that you had direct dealings with him, but all politicians are underhanded to get what they want. All.
No,
Democrat?
no,
No, no, no, no, no.
not necessarily.
The little dabbling that I do in politics, and I'm not at your level, the little dabbling that I do, you make deals. And sometimes the worst of you,
You don't make deals to sell out your own party. That's all.
again,
A lot of people have, John.
a lot of people have. You're
Mm-hmm.
right about that.
Mm-hmm. And what's sad is, I think if everything didn't go down the way it did, he would have been a tough competitor against Donald Trump.
It's not working.
I think he would have given Donald Trump a run for his money.
Who?
Andrew Cuomo. They were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth during. He was more presidential when the whole COVID situation started. He was. People were looking forward to his briefings when Donald Trump had nothing to say.
You
People
know,
were remember that.
I agree with that. I think, and Donald Trump saw him as a real rival. He
Mhm.
did. He really
Yeah.
did.
And that was the problem.
You
That
all saw him as a real rival because he was in New York.
people all over around the world was tuning in to his briefings.
Yeah, they
you
were.
tune into the briefings, okay, but that don't mean you're qualified to become president of the United States and run the country.
Well, Donald Trump wasn't qualified. Let's talk about that.
Okay, wait. I'm not gonna say. Wait. Hold on. Wait. I like that. But you know, people out there, you know, I know majority of our listeners are Democrats. Some are Republican, but I like the debate. But John, as a moderate Democrat who might vote democratically for a person, but might vote Republican on an issue, me personally, I'm going to have to side with Dr. Brian. And the reason why I'm going to side with Dr. Brian, Joe Biden won the election not only on his years in office, but on how he spoke about how you would address COVID. So that was a main point why he won. So I'm going to side with Dr. Brian.
No, the main point, no. See, you know what? Put the Trump antics aside. Push those antics aside. Look at our economy. Were we coming home more money in our paychecks? Let's put it aside. Was a lot of government regulations that stymied a lot of businesses he did away with, started generating monies. Third of all, he got rid of the red tape that was, I have to give him credit where credit is due as to the vaccine. You know, warp speed, he was able to get it done. I also give him credit the way he dealt with the criminal justice system, the federal criminal, and put the spotlight on the Department of Justice and the unfair treatment that they give to individuals. When you have two FBI agents conspiring to prevent this person from becoming the one who's seen to become the president, they're the ones who are conducting these investigations, telling, you know, their own points of view. This is what the feds do on a day-to-day basis. They have no overseer of the way they conduct. It wasn't until Trump put spotlight on the DOJ. And, you know, everything was, whatever the DOJ did, whatever the feds did, it was golden. But now you see they're human like everybody else, and they have their own biases and prejudices that really impact the way people are treated in the criminal justice system.
So you're saying
yes. And also, I want to add, Dr. Brian and Roger, he cut all the red tape, the bull crap. You know what? If you look at the woman Alice Walker,
mm-hmm.
her petition came before Obama in his administration. What happened? Nothing. Trump, I don't care what y'all guys say. She spent enough time in jail. She's doing X, Y, and Z. I got people supporting her. You know what? Let her out.
Wait. You
With
know
full pardon.
why? You know why?
Why?
It was a lot of smoozing with Kanye and Kim Kardashian. It wasn't just
So
on.
they want. So you mean there was no smoozing with Obama?
I don't know. Did they bring her case up? Or was
It
it
was before Obama, but the problem was what happens is it goes to the Department of Justice and it goes to this bureau that looks it over. And
And they presented.
and then presented. No, because
Kanye cut
they
through the
had
red
their
tape.
own point of views regarding certain content. No, this person is. How the heck you know this person haven't turned their life around? So what I liked about Donald Trump, he was willing to buck the system. He wasn't going to go with the system. You know what? If a person deserves, if I get advocacies for people saying this person shouldn't be locked up any longer,
It's all about
I'm not going to wait to get a memo from my Department of Justice on it. You know what? I'm gonna take your word for it. Go ahead. That's why I like Trump. He cut through the
It
bullshit.
was all about connections. It's all about connection. I don't think anybody like, hey, you know, you have an attorney who goes up to him and was like, hey, I want to fight on this behalf. He wouldn't have given that person no time a day. So
Doc,
it's
you don't know
about
that, Doc. You don't know that.
no, it's
Look,
about
also look at Kwame. Kwame Kilpatrick was a Democrat.
Mhm.
What did he do? He commuted his sentence.
That Kwame is the guy from Pennsylvania, right?
You know, Kwame was from
Maryland.
No, Detroit.
Oh,
The
yes,
murder
yes.
or something like that. Or
No, he was a
Oh.
former mayor.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And Pat. Oh yeah. He was the mayor of Detroit, who they arrested.
And also now, ladies and gentlemen of the village,
Go ahead.
all of a sudden, you know, first of all, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, right? Now all of a sudden they want to indict Hunter Biden regarding his
Gun.
application for a gun permit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anyone else would have never gotten the sweetheart deal that they had proposed for him.
So
We
they
all
were
know that. We all know that. We all know that. But what do you expect? He's the president of the United States, son.
well. Look at the dummy twins. They're not
Who? What
twins.
twins?
Donald Trump kids who actually did some.
What are you talking about?
I
Doc?
don't know if they were twins, but his kids.
They're not twins. I'm using it. I'm being sarcastic.
What about it, Doc?
They were charged with many things, and a lot of things they got away with.
What things were they
Period.
charged with, Doc?
With his company,
When you say many things, what were they
No.
charged with?
fraud.
Were they charged criminally, Doc?
You know what? I think the reason why they weren't charged criminally because of Donald Trump. Period.
So the reason
Being
Hunter Biden
the
was
president.
given such a sweetheart deal because his father was the president.
Not was.
It's the president.
But it's the same way as Donald Trump. His kids weren't indicted because of that.
I
Power, influence.
the only reason why, the only reason why I corrected John with the is versus was, right? I'm being honest. No. I'm not talking about the gram. I don't give a crap about that. I'm saying is that, like you're saying, power. So even though the Republican heads to Congress, he is in power and he can still pull strings. Donald Trump has influences, right, that has continued beyond his presidency. Because I hate to say it, and I know we're on this subject, like I said, a little bit too long, but I hate to say it. If Joe Biden is no longer the president of the United States,
Mm-hmm.
he's just another Barack. Because Barack does not have the pull right now. In 2016, right now in what year are we in? 2023?
Don't have what pull?
The pull
What pull?
that Donald Trump has right now.
Trump.
Who you think have a stronger pull in their party?
In with their base movement, it's I
By
would agree-
far.
I would agree it is Donald Trump.
Right. So go back
It's
to what, and that's what I was saying the is
It's
versus
close.
was. Because
It's
Andre, you
close.
missed that part when Andre, when we were talking about power and money and the role that they both have. And I said power brings money, money brings power. But like they kind of work together. But his power, now I don't know what he has.
A
But
code.
he has something.
It
Of
goes back to what I was saying. Like he doesn't BS. He goes straight to the point, really, and people are
And people
starting to
agree. I
really
believe in
like
that.
prefer that now. Like people are starting to prefer it when they look at politics, as I've seen it. People want to know what exactly.
Donald
is
Trump.
up. Stop.
You know what? Donald Trump calls it as he sees it.
Yeah, exactly.
He calls
Exactly.
it as
He's
he
not
sees
wishy
it.
washy. He's not. And I,
He
you
doesn't
know,
vacillate like that.
honestly, I like if you believe that prayer should be in school, which I believe, right? I believe that prayer should be in school,
I would agree with that.
right? I don't want, and he says, I want prayer in school. Oh, my thing is, if you can teach one topic in school, you should be able to teach a topic. Because if they're both controversial, both of them got to go or both of them stay, right? And the only thing I would say is teaching harm against anybody else and spreading harm against anybody else. I have a problem with that. And any party who doesn't have a problem with that, I don't understand. And Donald Trump is not apologetic about the fact that certain issues should be weighed the same. You can't agree, and I don't want to call out any particular issue, right? But you can't agree that this issue is good for school and this issue is not good. Or you're forcing me to use your issue. I'll give you one topic that I'm talking about.
Like where the critical. things
No,
come.
no. I don't believe that kids should have pronouns. I don't believe it. Right? I don't believe that a kid should be his, her, they, it, binary, co-binary, whatever the hell you want to call it. You're confusing the damn child. Right? At home, they're called he, she. When they come to school, if they want to be him, her, they, in between, I don't believe that any child or any adult, and I'm not even apologetic. I will not. I'm not a chairperson. I'm a chairman. That's me. I'm not a chairperson. Don't label me as a person in that way. Right? So you can't tell me that I need to use the term chairperson. When you're in office, you're a chairwoman or chairman or chairperson. But you cannot subject me to that.
And if you have that point of view, they're ready to cancel your
Exactly.
And another point of view.
Instead of even having like a conversation with it.
Right. Or saying that, you know what, that's okay. But if I want to be called chairperson, then you can't tell me I shouldn't be called
There's
chairperson.
another and
That's,
jumping,
you know.
and jumping on top of another issue, the whole transgender in sports.
I don't agree with
I
that.
don't agree with
I
that
don't
at all.
agree. Not even close
You know,
to it.
no. Female sports are for biological women.
Oh, but what do you mean by biological? I'm like,
Women who are born women, should
right?
compete against one another. It should not be a transgender male who wants to transition to a woman to compete,
Or vice
against
versa.
them, and vice versa.
Right?
No.
I feel that there are, no matter how, I know, and by the way, this is not necessarily the view of the studio, but it is, I'm giving the disclaimer, right? Our GD radio. I sound like our lawyer. My point on that is, physiologically, mentally, you might believe and feel differently. Whether you feel like you're born that way, socialized that way, I'm not here to discuss how does somebody come up with the gender that they will live their life out as. That's not the point of my comment. Physiologically, the human body, men have more developed this, women have more developed that, right? So the movement is not physically, right, feasible, right? For example, a man naturally born to run and a woman naturally born to run, they will not compete. A woman could never run as fast as Usain Bolt. Period. At least no time in the near future. That's why the time difference between a woman's time in the Olympics and a man's time in the Olympics, the national record is almost a second differential. So physically, it's not happening. So if you place a man who was born naturally as a man, I'm not talking about their mental capacity or none of that or anything like that or whatever. I'm not even going to religion. I'm not even doing any of that. Right? They will not be able to compete if Usain Bolt decide that he'll become a woman. Right? The likelihood of a woman, a physically born woman, beat him in the Olympics is almost next to impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but think about it. Right? A woman throwing the football 60 yards down the field, I haven't seen it yet. A woman on a consistent basis. A woman hitting a baseball 450 feet.
The Giants on Sunday
could have used that, right? Could have used a woman who could have thrown it 30 feet, right? On Sunday, losing 40-0. But the point is, it's just we can believe that anybody can do anything.
Right.
But the question is, what percentage of those people can do anything? Right? You know, this, I'm gonna get in trouble for this comment, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Let's say it anyway.
Don't say it. If
I'm
you
gonna say it.
Oh my God.
I already in trouble already, so.
I don't like when transgender men say that they're giving birth. That's one thing I hate. I do hate that statement.
What?
So if a transgender man who was a woman keeps her uterus and she gets pregnant, right? I don't want to say the wrong thing. Or say it the wrong way that would affect me. But I don't know. Maybe you know what? Let me not say anything more.
Yeah.
Because I might be saying it the wrong way, and I'm not.
I had said that before. Don't say nothing, but your mouth kept going and going and going and going.
You know why I always say that, Dr. Brian. I'm gonna leave it as such. If you show me a man that could give birth to a child, then naturally born and die without any kind of operation, then show me a multi-billionaire who can do it from birth to death. Right? That's why I don't like the statement. Because now I feel that women, whether you are lesbian or not, and go through the heartache of giving birth, I feel like you're diminishing the value of what the pain and the tragedy that they're going through by saying that your man going through this thing. I feel it just something doesn't sit right. Like I think you're devaluing what a woman really has gone through and the pain and the struggle that they have gone through.
So I have a question for you.
To make that statement. I'm not saying it right, and I know it's not coming out right.
I just want to know one thing.
Yeah.
Why are they starting the impeachment thing on the president?
We have switched the topic. No problem. Let's move on then, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I just one time I'm going to agree with you.
Why are they starting the impeachment thing? Why are they pushing
Yeah,
that?
let me ask you a question. Why do you think that?
Well, wait, can we not talk about that yet?
No, I
No,
do.
no, 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 no.
We
Hold on, wait, Dr. Brian.
God.
Dr. Brian,
Oh,
the
our,
reason hold on. I'm not going back to the subject. You're right. I'm leaving the
our
subject. alone.
guest is on.
Yeah, it's not just that. Yeah, because I wanted to segue into our guest.
All right.
Because she's here to talk about preparing for the future of your child, and we want to talk to, and we started out with school and back to school. So I wanted to come back, and then we could come back to the impeachment thing at the end. But I'm not going back to that subject. You're right. I'm leaving it alone because I don't want to put myself in trouble.
Oh, you already did, my friend. Your
Yeah, I
mouth.
don't think so. I don't think completely. I don't
Oh
think
my
completely.
God.
But I no, let's not talk about it no more. I'm listening to you, and I'm not talking about it anymore. I'm leaving it alone. 529 came, talking about that and preparing for children. I was in a couple conversations, and while I'm starting this convo, I'm bringing our guest on. She's not on camera yet.
She's working on it. So.
Right. I was talking to somebody. So in my meeting last night, we were talking about preparing our kids. One of the comment I brought up was two ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
One spectrum where we don't look at career technical education. And the other end of the spectrum, we don't look at why when we go to a hospital, the top brass is, even within our own communities, it's not they're not black and brown boys or girls. They're not, male and female. But when you look at the bottom rung of the community, and I brought this conversation up, the majority of those people at the bottom on the socioeconomic ladder, in certain, and one place I highlight was a hospital, is of black and brown boys and girls. And so one of the things that came up in the conversation is that one person pointed out the expense of college. And I'm like, and I was having a conversation with somebody, and this is one thing, another thing that's going to get me in trouble, Dr. Brian, is and I was having this conversation with my aunt today while I was driving over. And I said, we pay tithe and we pay offering, but we don't pay 529K. We don't invest into education, but we invest into the church. You have to have a balance of the two. If you don't invest into our 529K,
right,
you will forever have our children, black and brown boys and girls, right? And remember, before anybody chastised me, I said there's more poverty in red states than blue states. I did say that. So there are more poor white people than there are black people. Let's not get it wrong. I did state that from the get-go. So, right, let's just be clear. So one of the thing that our guests want to talk about, and I want to lead us, into this conversation, is how did you prepare these black and brown boys to go, if they want to invest, they don't want to go to college. They want to have a mechanic shop. You have a 529K that you can use because you have already made an investment, right? You have already made an investment, so they have that money.
Right.
But if you have prepared nothing, they have nothing to go on.
Right.
And a lot of times, the other thing I tell people, I said, stop worrying about school loans. And I know Dr. Bryant disagrees with me with this. But if you go to school to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, and you come out being anybody that could have gone to any school for, then you're right. You should worry about school loans and your money that you owe. I went to school to become a doctor,
right,
in all honesty. But I got scholarships,
right,
so I don't have no debt. But imagine if I went to my school and cost my parents money and say I was going to be a doctor and end up being a teacher, that I could have gone to Brooklyn College and become a teacher. That's a tremendous waste of $50,000. It's a waste. So people can't say the loan's a loan, but if you didn't do what you're supposed to do, don't blame somebody because you took out the loan. blame somebody that you were irresponsible. That's what I said, what we talked about earlier also. Treasure what your kids want to do before you make a commitment financially to do all this crap. I know Dr. Bryant is okay because she's always upset about when I talk about college loans. But
How come you're always using my name? Can you use
I
your
was
own?
going to say, like,
because you always yell at me whenever I say that.
Get on my nerves.
But John is not, wait, John never complains about the college loans. You do.
Do I complain about college?
Yes, you do.
It's about 3 times I hear you say, I know
Yeah.
Dr. Bride is not fulfilling.
He-
Wait, hold on.
Was it the
All right, fine, no problem. Since I'm wrong, John,
issue?
your thoughts on the subject. Speaking of Mike,
529,
not the 539, but taking out loans to go to school,
taking out loans to go to school.
to go to college.
What I think about it?
Yes. Your honest opinion. Shoot me down if you think I'm wrong.
No, I wouldn't have no problem taking out loans. I'm betting on myself.
There you go. See, that's what I say. You bet on yourself. If again, don't go to, you can't, I'm not gonna spend $50,000 to go to Harvard to learn to be a mechanic when I could go down the street and learn from my brother to be a mechanic and just go get a certification at what's that called? TI, is that what's called? Or ITI or whatever that school is called, Lincoln Technical Institute, right? I'm not gonna, that's a waste of money.
Correct.
But if I want to be the engineer who builds the car, and I know that the best place, because I'm going to get paid for that if I go to Harvard, then it's worth gambling on myself and take out that loan. I'm not going to go to, I'm 100% certain, I'm telling you up front, I am not going to Harvard College as a black man coming from poverty, taking out $50,000 a year loan to say I'm going to be a doctor and end up being something I could have been at Brooklyn College, where it cost me $5,000. That makes no sense, especially if I'm ill prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Our guest, never forget, 9/11. You're disappearing on me, Doc. Can you hear me? Esther?
All right, can you guys see me?
No, we can't. We can hear you, but we can't see you. Dr. Bryan is.
You can-
Why are you look so sad, Dr. Bryan? Smile. Take your head off your cheek. Something happened?
Now we can see you.
Wait, somebody else.
We can see two of you.
You're muted. Hi, welcome.
You're muted. Unmute yourself, Doctor. I'm sorry, Esther. You're muted, Esther. Unmute your thing.
All right, I said I don't know what was going on with my camera, but now you can see me, and now you can hear
Yes.
me.
Yes, you're
Oh,
live.
praise the
Although
Lord!
you look like,
Praise the Lord!
although I've been saying the wrong things earlier, so make sure I'm going to say something else wrong again, but it's not how it sounds. It's the kung fu movie.
Miss Esther
Girl,
Chang.
stop it! Stop it!
nice
Stop it! You got to
to
learn
have
to
you
listen.
on this evening. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm
to
telling her,
please?
relax,
Ignore him.
relax. What I'm saying to you,
Oh my! I
Exactly.
heard good
What-
things, I heard bad things, I heard wrong things, I heard true things.
no. What I'm
Yeah,
saying
so I'll
is,
just help out wherever I could.
no. What I'm saying is like, you know how we love to watch kung fu movies, and then you see the mouth moving,
Yes.
and then the words coming out.
Yes.
That's what I'm
Yes.
talking about. So it's for some
Oh,
reason,
that's what's happening with me right now.
yeah, the delay.
No, you're fine.
Oh,
You're fine.
there is a delay.
No,
All
you're
right,
fine.
well, we'll work on it. We're
That's
working
it.
on it. We're working on it. Let me shut off everything over here that's using my Wi-Fi, and then hopefully we can get it hot and going. It normally works just fine. I know maybe it's just you.
No,
It's
we can. It's
him.
no, we can hear you as you speak, but then if you're looking at on the screen, it's like there's a lag. But we can hear you as you speak.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So how
I'm
you
not
doing?
sure what's going on with that. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here to see you again. It's been a while.
Yes.
I've been traveling a lot. I just came back from Jamaica like 3 days ago, I was in Vegas about a month ago, and I'm like traveling everywhere right now.
Don't brag. Don't brag. Don't
So
brag.
this is what financial professionals do.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That,
Globe-trotting the world.
you know what I'm saying? By the way, before I
You
forget,
know,
thank you. I know I'm gonna stop myself, but I want to thank you for the sign in the background, and none of us on the station today acknowledge what this week was. So I want to thank you for bringing that us and bringing all of us back here at the village back into reality. That this week, I don't know if celebrate is the right verb for
just to
9/11.
remember, just
Remembrance.
Right,
remember.
it's remembrance. Thank you.
Remember.
Yeah,
Right,
it's a
for
remembrance.
9/11 and what that tragedy that happened
2
22
years
years
ago.
ago this week. And so thank you for that, and um, thank you for the recognition. So I wanted to pause for a moment to acknowledge what that happened many years ago. Many of us lost many people or know somebody who lost somebody. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just thought it was appropriate one. That's for my week. I usually have an emphasis. I try to commemorate something important each week. And it so happens that this month is Life Insurance Awareness Month. So we have so many people who lost their lives that day, but it's not just the lives that was lost, it's the lives that were impacted from that loss. So if someone lost a husband or a daughter or a grandmother or a child, or the impact of that loss financially could have been very devastating to the family for those who got left behind. So that's something I just want to make a note of, because many of us in the Black and brown and beige communities tend not to be, what's the word, up to date, up to speed on protecting our finances, protecting our income earning capacity, and the impact that would have on our families if we were not to be able to bring income into the home. So, just to know, not only do we remember the lives that were lost, but the lives that were impacted by the loss as well. You can't replace the love, the hugs, and the kisses, but the financial impact, may be felt generationally for those who passed away during that time.
Right. While we're talking about that, also, John, I don't know. I also want people to be careful. Right. There are predatory people out there who are trying to take advantage of that situation as well, trying to get people to sign up with them, do this, do that, make sure
Yeah,
you
but
do
you
your
know what? Let
homework.
me tell you something. The biggest problem,
Oh, absolutely.
Mr. Charles, one of the biggest problems
Absolutely. There
I
are
have,
predators everywhere.
we have predators everywhere, but for me, the biggest predator is sometimes those insurance companies. And what I mean by that, and those some of these financial institutions is, my biggest thing, if you get in an incident, you get in an accident, uh, God forbid, you have someone who passes away, the 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 process in which people try to withdraw or to get their claims granted to receive some sort of remuneration because if that's what they paid you all these premiums for, they tend to give you a hard time.
Well,
A very hard time.
it depends on what kind of plan you're talking about. If
Mm.
you're talking about from, like, you have no life insurance and it's a accidental death from an accident, like a car crash or something like that, that is difficult. That is difficult because you're running a claim against property, and that's called property and casualty claims. You're saying, hey, this accident and this is the reason. Then they're going to go through a whole process of whose fault it was, right? And to determine the fault and was it intentional and all of those types of things, that takes time. Whenever there's a motor vehicle involvement, the cause of death takes time. And the cause of that, you need that to have the death certificate, even with life insurance. regular life insurance. If you don't have the death certificate, you're not getting any money with most plans. There are very few plans out there that you can get money with just a certificate of death as opposed to a death certificate. You're like, why? What's the difference? The death certificate lists the cause of death, the cause, the reason why you died. The certificate of death just says you have died. So you want to have a company that, and you call that final expense or short-term bridge life insurance that would just cover the funeral costs, because most people have to, pull out their 401ks or retirement plans to cover stuff like that, right? So that's what you want, a short-term plan. So there are a couple of companies that we have that gives you that option that pays in 24 to 48 hours death, for regardless of whether it's accident or non-accidental, they pay out. We have companies like that. Then the other regular companies, they're waiting for the death certificate. So if you don't have any life insurance, you got to fight with the car insurance company for that. But if you have proper life insurance on your own, then that will come through once you have the death certificate.
Okay.
And also, all insurances are not the same. Just for people, for clarification, people say, "Oh, I have insurance." What kind of insurance you have? Oh, I don't know. How much do you pay? I don't know. Like, what are the benefits? I don't know. That's what most people have. They figure they got some insurance, they're paying for it, and then that's that. No, it's not that. You have to become educated about it. So there's books that you should read. There's education that you need to have in place to make sure that, guess what? Your life insurance is not, a term when you think you have a permanent plan. So, oh, my policy just went up 800%. Why? I don't know. The insurance company is a scam. No, you didn't know what you bought. Right? And that's why it's very important to work with a financial professional who sells every type of plan. Right? Most people out there, they're only working with somebody who sells term. If they only sell term, they're going to tell you term is the best. It's like you go to the Toyota dealership, he's going to tell you why Toyota is better than every other car on the planet.
Unless you do your homework.
So let's get right to the chase. I have an insurance question. Why in the world does term life insurance, I don't know if you know the answer, but I'm going to ask you, and if you do, you go ahead and give us the answer. Why in the world does term life insurance go up so astronomically in comparison to other insurance? Like a term life insurance can go up 200-300%, right?
Or more.
In less than 5 years. Why is it? That's one of the reasons why people don't believe in insurance. Because if you get whole life, yes, it pays you back. But a $200,000 whole life insurance policy, when you get it at the if you get both of them at the same time, costs you significantly different.
Absolutely.
But I cost you as much as cost you. So you could have a $10 million term life that costs you the same amount as a whole life, right? Because they're gambling on your death, right?
So let me get you on that one. Term is cheaper. Like, you get what you pay for, right? So you say good things are not cheap and cheap things are not good, right? We always hear that. So how does that work with insurance? Everybody wants, I want to pay the least amount. Well, the cheapest type of insurance is a term. The insurance company is betting that you're not going to die in time before the term ends, or the guaranteed period of premium. So let's just say you have a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year term, but the premium is the same for the 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years. After that, if you didn't die during that time, one, you're not going to get any of your money back. And two, the premium goes up astronomically, because now if you get it when you're 30 and you get a 30-year term, What's the likelihood that you're going to almost will be dying soon in your 60s or 70s? It's quite possible, right? So the younger you are, the cheaper it is. So you get this cheap term when you're young because you don't want to pay. Listen, you got to think about it this way. You want to get your permanent plans when you're super young, right? When you're super young. The term you get because you have a 30-year mortgage, you have a $500,000 house, you get a 30-year term. God forbid you die, it covers the mortgage. Your family don't have to worry about it. Done, right? It's cheap. If you have young children, you're just starting out in life, you can't afford a permanent plan, you get yourself a 20, 30, 40, 50, $100 term. So if you pass away, your parents can take care of your child, or your husband can or wife can take care of your child. There's money to raise your child. Income replacement. That's it. Now, at the end of the 20 or 30 years you got your term, you didn't die. You're not going to get the money back. And now it becomes what is called an annual renewable term. And they're going to rate you at your current age that you are. So you're 30 years older. Of course, it's more expensive. And every single year it's going to get more expensive. That's how term works, right? Most people don't understand that. And some companies out there are deceptive in their practices. And they tell you, oh, this is a whole term. A lady told me, oh, they told me this is a whole term. I'm like, what's that? She said, a term for my whole life. I said, what's that mean? She said, well, it goes until I'm 95. I said, yeah, but does your premium remain the same until you're 95? She said, yes. I said, show me your contract. And I had to show her how to read her contract. And she was like, oh my gosh, my premium is going to become, $500, $700, $1,000, $4,000 a month. I said, yes. That is what you have, right? But most people, one, they don't read the contract because it's too complicated. And two, the agents are deceptive. Some of them, if they only sell term, they're going to tell you why this is the best term on the policy on the planet. So there are companies running around out there telling people whole life is terrible, right? And then you have the other companies out there that tells you term is terrible. The bottom line is that all plans are good for the purpose in which you have to have them. So it's not just about term or whole life. You have indexed universal life and variable universal life. Life insurance has gone through a metamorphosis, right? So most people have never audited their life insurance. So every one of you out there who's listening,
I didn't hear you. Say it again.
I said most people have never audited their life insurance. They bought it 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and they never looked at it again. Right?
What do you mean by audited your life insurance?
2016, you should review your life insurance. Meaning that you need
what you mean by audit your life insurance.
Hop on with a financial professional. I'm gonna tell you what you do. There are questions you need to call a company and ask them about your plan. You know how you want to refinance your house, right? You got to upgrade. You upgrade your cell phones, right? We always upgrade our cell phones, but do we upgrade our life insurance? So, question. Most people have no idea how much interest the life insurance is paying them, or if it's giving them an interest at all, especially if a whole life plan, right? Some people think their term is giving them interest. They have no clue. Right. They have no idea when that premium is going to adjust and how much it's going to adjust to. They think the term is going to pay them forever. Is going to pay the same $50 forever, right? Then on top of that, on the other side, you have people who have no idea if they borrow from their whole life policy, how much the interest they're going to charge them.
Okay.
Right. So, and they only give them between 3 to 5% on the growth side. So the money that you borrow is growing faster than the money that they're giving you. All right. And then if you don't pay it back, it might cause your policy to become upside down. And then they're going to tell you, hey, we need more money.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So sometimes your loan is going to grow faster.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying at the beginning. That was full blown lagging. Um, can you hear me?
Yes, I repeat that again. I didn't hear you.
So you're full blown lagging now on the screen. I want to shift the conversation because it's back to school, and I want to talk about one of the conversations that John, myself, Andre were having about preparing your kids from both ends of the spectrum, right? If they want to be doctor, lawyer, nurse, financial advisor, banker, whatever, or they want to own their own business, get the MBA, or even go to trade school. One of the things that I always say is that we need to prepare a lot more. I say the controversial things in the show. John just used bad words as his controversial things, and then so I always say the controversial things. So I'm gonna keep saying more controversial things. We as Black and Brown,
no problem. I like controversy.
Right? We as Black and Brown families are least likely to prepare our children or have an investment in college, and I see this from my experience in high school as a high school administrator. I see it in conversation with people of all bunch of races, right? And so, and sometimes I've even had conversation where I've had Black and Brown people say to me, if my kid wants to go to college, they're responsible for themselves. I'm not here to pay for them to go to college or prepare them for college, right?
Well, can I just comment on that real quick? I have a comment on that real quick.
So I want to talk about changing some of that mindset and what is it we can do to do that.
Well, a lot of our Black and Brown people claim to be Christians. Right? I'm gonna go there. Right? You're controversial. I'm controversial.
Hold on.
Wait. Let me finish before you get in it. Let me finish. Biblically, the Bible says a good man or woman, right? I'm gonna make sure I cover both sides. I don't want to get into too much trouble now.
The Bible didn't say that.
A good man or
Let's
woman
go to the Bible properly.
leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That's in Proverbs, right? Proverbs says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children.
Right.
And that's number one.
Right.
Secondly, the Bible says, lay not treasures upon the earth for yourself. Okay? So you guys could Google me, fact check that, and you can get back to me on that one, right?
So what you're trying to say is give my treasures away.
No, it tells you, so listen, no, not away. It says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So your treasure should be laid up for your children, not necessarily away. And the Bible also says the poor will always be with us. It didn't say us must be poor, right? So to that point, the conversation about, oh, well, my children got to do their, I'm not paying for their college, or I'm not setting a generation up to be better. You know, if you are a Christian and you're following Christian principles, that's definitely unbiblical. Okay, that's number one.
Right.
Now let's just, for those who are not Christians now, all right, I'm gonna cover both sides of the fence.
I'm sorry.
I'm covering both sides of the fence. For those who are not Christians, and we talk about creating generational wealth and lifting up our brothers and sisters.
Sound like a politician.
Hey, I'm covering everybody tonight. Everybody gets covered, right? You know, we talk about, lifting up the next generation and creating generational wealth. Well, how else do you do that if you look back at our non-black and brown brothers and sisters? Generational wealth is created through life insurance, right? It's created through life insurance. Think about Walt Disney. Think about, there's a book. I don't know if you guys
Don't
ever read
talk
this
about
book.
Tori Spelling now.
There's a book everyone should read. It's called Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance. Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance. You can find it on Amazon. All right. I don't sell it. I didn't write it. But this book, Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance, is something that every person should read, because it talks not just about how you, the individual, should have life insurance, but it tells you how all the top Fortune 500 companies invest in life insurance, and every single bank that you guys bank with, your JP, your Chase, your Citibank, they all invest in life insurance. Like, why would a bank have life insurance? It's called a BOLI, BOLI, bank-owned life insurance, because it's the safest asset a bank can own. It's called a tier one capital. And the same thing for companies. Your Starbucks and your Coca-Cola, they all in life insurance too. It's called a COLI, company-owned life insurance. So look into that. But back to talking about, students and schools and stuff. We have these 529 plans out there, and 529 plans are great, but it's limited. Well, what's the limitation? And what makes it great? Well, you can put money in, not pay any taxes on it, and use it for college education. It works fine. However, what are the pitfalls? Well, it's subject to market volatility.
If I got a scholarship to school and my parents had a 529, but I got a scholarship, right?
Mm-hmm.
One, if I have a sibling,
you can transfer it to your sibling. Yeah.
Right? But it has to be for educational purposes. But wasn't there a change or something?
You can use it for some of them are listed. You can use it for like private school as well, not just college. It's a little bit more.
You were saying the pitfalls.
So the pitfalls of the 529 is that it's subject to market volatility. So if the market goes down, you're going to lose money in your 529. Secondly, if your child decides not to go to college, well, you're going to be subject to the taxation, right? Thirdly, if your child, is there any need-based aid, you're not going to qualify because you have to disclose it on the financial aid form, on the FAFSA form.
Well, wait. I just want to correct you on that. It's not that you're not going to qualify. It's that it's offsets.
It offsets. So let's just say you have $50,000 in the 529.
But it might affect how much you're going to get.
Okay. So if you have $50,000 in a 529 plan, you have to put that, and it makes your expected family contribution $50,000, and therefore you get no aid. You get no grant. You get no aid. You get no grants, especially if it's need-based, right? So the 529 plan, you have to disclose that on the financial aid form, and it can put you in a position where you will not receive any aid, providing you qualify, because some people just won't qualify based on family income, right? Now, so if the child does not go to decide, okay, well, they're not going to go to college, well, it can be used for trade school, right? They have made some changes. You can do it for trade school. Use the 529 money for that. So that's been a recent upgrade. However, if the child decides not to go to school at all, and they want to start a business, you can't use the money for that. All right. So what are the alternatives? What else can you use? Well, there are some life insurance plans that you can fund and use it for college. It's called an indexed universal life insurance. right? And you can use that for college. You can use it to start a business. God forbid your child is like not interested in doing anything in the world. You can take it and console yourself and go on a cruise on the French Riviera. You own the money. It's your total control of that money, right? So anyone who has a child and they're serious about saving for college for their child and say, oh, well, I want to pay for my child's college, you should be saving about $500 a month. Like
How much?
serious, if you're serious. 500.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
$500 a month. If you're serious about paying for your kids' college, like for real.
That's a lot of money.
Because
Most families can't afford that.
yeah, but that's if you're serious. And the reason I say that is think about it. If your child is born and you start at $500 a month, you by time they're 26, you should put in like roughly what is that, like $136,000, right? And if you have it in an interest-bearing account, you can have that be almost like $250,000. Because how much is college these days? Like for real, like if you want to go to a decent college.
About I would say anywhere between a decent guy, anywhere between 40 to 50.
No, I wouldn't go so far, depending on income. The state versus local. Local. CUNY.
State 20, 25.
Yeah. So CUNY is so college can run you, depending on the education, anything from 10 to 20 to 70,000. Depending.
Okay, so let's settle on 25 to 50,000. Yeah, 25 to 50,000, right? So if you do 25, $500 a month from birth till 18, you put in about $136,000, and then into that plan, it can grow to, let's just say everything's great. You can be up to $250,000, $230,000 if everything goes 100% well, no losses. Right? We're doing hypothetical numbers here, right? So now you can say, okay, yeah, I can pay for my kids' college. I can do that. But if you're doing $50, $100, you're not necessarily going to pay for college. You might get to a semester, maybe if you're lucky. So you have to really make sure you sit with an advisor, look at the models, and make sure you choose the right plan to make sure you can actually do that.
That's something that, you're totally correct. And that's something that I did. That is something that I did.
Yeah. So it's very important.
But the cost of tuition, I did it for one of my daughters. And, from the time she was born until getting ready to go to college. But man, when she decided to go to college, tuition was, oh my goodness. Her tuition was, just
yeah. See, a lot of people
can afford it. I mean,
a lot of people don't plan appropriately, and it goes and this is a whole other conversation about really evaluating what you do for work. All right, so people have idea, I want to do this, I want to do that, but the employment that they have is not congruent with the lifestyle or that they want to live, or congruent with the retirement that they intend to have. Most people are saving, $200 a month, $50 a paycheck, $100 a paycheck. You're never going to retire on that. You're never going to retire on that. And I'm just going to be clear, straight to the point. It's not going to happen. I talk with those people every single day, and they expect me to work a miracle to retire you on $500 a month. And you're 50 and 40 and you're just starting. No. If you're 20 something, you can start at $500 a month. Maybe. But, most people are just completely clueless. They've never sat with a financial professional. They never took the time to say, well, really, okay, if I'm going to retire and I barely can live on the $5,000 a month I'm getting right now, barely, how much I'm going to get when I retire? And how do I make sure I don't run out of money? Because I'm probably going to live for 20, 30 years in retirement. They've never sat down and planned that out. So when I sit down with them and I go through the numbers, They're all freaked out about it.
So I know we have a couple of minutes left. Actually, literally only have about 3 minutes left, and I know that we're gonna have to continue to maybe do a series in our conversation. But I also know that you can do two things, right? One, your 401k, your insurance, and the 529. You combine all three, because your 401k can also be a tax deferred annuity, as well as your 529k. So what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is that you pay when you pull out the money, right? Your insurance or some other policies, you pay the taxes as you go, and then whatever you gain is whatever you gain, period, right? Tell us very quickly, and then again, we're gonna have to come back. Tell us the benefit of the index life that you spoke about, index universal. Tell us the benefit, 30 seconds or less. Tell us the benefit of a 529k, and tell us the benefit of putting maximize your 401k. Why that would be another source, right? Depending, because a lot of them are factors. So let's talk about those three real fast.
Okay, so with your
But I
index
already know
universal
that you're
life.
in favor of the insurance one, but let's talk about all three, the benefits and pitfalls of all three.
Okay, I'll talk about all three. The benefits of the index plan, since you started with that first, is that you pay taxes today and you never pay taxes in the future, nor do you have to worry about if the market crashes. You pay taxes today and you never pay taxes in the future on the growth of that money, right? Providing, of course, you never cancel the plan, and you have, say you put in 100,000, it grew to $1 million, you cancel the plan, and now you have a $900,000 tax liability. So you have to keep the plan alive. You can pull 800 out, but not cancel the plan completely, right? So providing you follow the rules that the government gives, then you can actually grow your money tax-free, tax deferred, and take it out tax exempt.
If I'm going to play the devil's advocate, that goes the same for all three of those things. You got to follow the rules, right?
You got to follow the rules with everything. You have to know.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to so now with your 529 plan, you also have to follow the rules. It has to be used for educational expenses, right? You have to use it for that. If not, then you're going to get taxed on the growth, and then there's the penalization as well. So you want to make sure your 529s are great, because now you're paying the education on tax-free money. So that's really, really good. You definitely want to, utilize that, especially if you're not going to qualify for state aid based on your income. That. Okay.
No.
Now, on the other side, with your 401ks, the great thing about a 401k is that it reduces your tax liability today. So you can pay less taxes today. It grows, tax-free, and later on, you're going to have to pay taxes in the future. Now, you got to know the history about the 401k. The guy who wrote the code for the 401k, his name is Ted Benna. Ted, Tedbenna. Look him up and see what he says about the 401k. He's the one who wrote the code for the IRS for the 401k, right? You got to remember 401k. Ted Benna. See, we can do a whole segment on the 401k. I do a whole workshop on that. It's like a whole thing. But the great thing about a 401k is that
John, by the way, I know that went over your head, Esther, but John invited you back already.
Oh, thank you.
Right?
I'll make sure my Wi-Fi is better, by the way.
Yeah.
I'll make sure my Wi-Fi is better.
Again, so just touch on it, because we have about literally 30 seconds left.
Right. So with the 401k,
Index universal.
The last one's a 401k.
Index universal first. Yeah.
I did index. I did.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
I know I'm cutting you.
Wait. I know I'm cutting you, only because we have about 30 seconds left, and I have no choice but to cut you. Is there benefit to all three?
401ks are a monster that Congress created by accident.
Yes.
that he created. Is it?
Yeah,
is it-
it's really was not created
Rank
for
them from
the
the real
average
fast.
person. It was not, and most people are using the companies are using 401k because it's cheaper than giving you a pension. So you got to know the pros and cons of a 401k before you invest into it. Not that it's bad if you know what you're doing. Most people are not using the 401k appropriately.
All right, so
Right.
I want to thank you. I know, Esther, I'm rushing you, but unfortunately it's 9:01 and we have to finish at 9 o'clock. I think in the background to speak to Andre. Let's find out when your next available date is, John.
No, we should do a whole segment.
Right. So let's find out when you. So let's talk to Andre in the background. And this way you come on a little bit earlier, so we're not even that much more rushed with time. We didn't even get a chance to go back to Dr. Bryan's topic because this topic is very interesting for many people. But I want to thank you and thank you everyone for watching, viewing, sharing, participating on the Village Radio Talk Show. It's been a good evening. I want to thank you for joining us and subscribing to us. On behalf of myself, your host, Andre Dolman, our executive producer, Sophia Willissey, our producer, and our co-host, John Sampson, and our co-hostess, Dr. Joanne Bryan, and our guest today, Esther Charles, financial professional. I want to thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you on the next broadcast of the Village Radio Talk Show. Have a great evening, everyone. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
We gotta think about that. That in and of itself